Welcome, welcome my friends, friends of Japanese prints. Welcome for another edition of the video productions by the Artelino company, artelino.com, my little family company. And I'm Dieter Vanschura, and I'm the owner. Currently we run an auction of Japanese prints from the so-called Shinhanga art movement. And a few days ago, I presented 6 selected prints, a little bit in the lower price section. They all had reserves below $500. And for today's video, I want to present 5 selected prints in the upper region. They all have reserves from $600 up to $4,300. So take care of your wallet, take care of your bank account balance. I will try to do my best, of course, to convince you to bid. Well, jokes aside, my friend, the opposite, okay. Please don't get carried away too much during an auction, especially during the last 5 minutes. Keep your common sense, because we want that you are satisfied with your purchase also the day after the auction and also 10 years after the auction. So, okay, let's be reasonable. Let's keep our common sense, both you, the potential buyer, and me, the auctioneer. Before I start with the first print, let me mention the artists that I've selected. 5 artists, 5 prints. And these are by Paul Jacqueline, Yasuo Kavaz, the great landscape master Hiroshi Yoshida, Kozo Hara, and Eto Shin. Well, the first print that I selected for you is by Paul Jacqueline. Paul Jacqueline was born in Paris in 1902, and he died in Japan in 1960. When he was a few years old, his mother moved with him to Tokyo, and there he grew up in a very educated environment. Paul Jacqueline was fluent in Japanese, in French, and in English. And he became an artist, and his style is rather unusual. He was also, as a personality, he was a little bit weird, we can say. He's a little bit outside of the mainstream. He also did not cooperate with publishers or galleries. He tried to sell himself by a kind of subscription scheme, difficult at that time without the internet. Okay, the print that we have in the current auction, let me show it to you. Okay, the title is Downpour at Metalanum, Ponape, East Carolines. It's from his series from the South Sea. By the way, prints by Paul Jacqueline usually have the title in English and in French. And, well, this design, it's actually very rare. We never had it since 2001. When we started our business. It's a limited edition, and it's hand-signed. It's hand-signed here inside the image, Paul Jacqueline. And it was first published in 1935. It's the edition number 147 out of 150, a total edition of 150. Usually on Paul Jacqueline prints, you find the edition size and the edition number on verso of the prints, by the way. If you're familiar with Paul Jacqueline, you know the name Richard Marles. Richard Marles wrote a catalogue raisonné about Paul Jacqueline. Catalogue raisonné, well, it's a kind of a complete documentation of all the works of the artist published in the form of a book, yeah? And we have one by Richard Marles, and Richard Marles, he writes the following about this design, about the actual edition size. And he says, the first edition of 150 was printed with fewer than 75 impressions. And the second edition of officially 350 was printed with fewer than 225 impressions. What does it mean? Paul Jacqueline, he always exaggerated his sales. Yeah, he did not want to reveal that he sold not so very well. Yeah, so he bragged with an edition size here for the first edition of 150, but actually only 75 were pulled and sold, and not even all of these 75 during his lifetimes could be sold. So much, a little bit tricky, Paul Jacqueline, and actual edition size and nominal edition size. The print carries the seal of the Kawa Maeda. This is here, Maeda Kentaro, and the printer's name, that was Fujiji, oh my God, Shunosuke, on here on the right margin. And the edition number is stamped on verso, as I said, to my knowledge, I think on nearly all, or on all prints by Paul Jacqueline. This print that I just showed to you, it doesn't have any major condition problems, and the reserve is 1,200, but currently the current bid, one day before auction end, is already at 2,700. Let me also tell you a little bit about the development of market prices for Paul Jacqueline prints. In the late 1960s and 1970s, after the death of Paul Jacqueline, they were very popular and were very expensive. At that time, it was fashionable by rich people to decorate their office with a print or several prints by Paul Jacqueline. And then, after 2000, prices came down. Over the decades, there had been an up and a down. In general, prices for Japanese prints around 2000 came down. It was the influence, in my view, of the internet, because then more and more was offered on the internet. And also during the financial crisis, roughly 2009, there was a slump. Over the recent years, prices for Paul Jacqueline have gone up again, and even considerable, provided that the print is in excellent condition or doesn't have major condition problems. The next print that I selected for you is by the famous landscape master Yasuo Kavaz. And the title is Pine Trees After Snow, or in Bavarian style Japanese, Matsuno Yukibare. The print was not published by Watanabe. Watanabe was kind of the main publisher for Yasuo. No, this one was published by Kawaguchi and Sakai, and it was first published in 1929, and it's a first edition printing. It also has this little stamp on the backside on verso, made in Japan, which is an indicator for an early edition. I'm not going to explain now the stamp. I did it in some other videos. You can also find it in our encyclopedia on our website, ortolino.com, made in Japan. It's a positive indicator for the newbies among you. And this is my friends, this is a limited edition. 160 out of 350. Very rare for Yasuo prints. And that's also one of the reasons why the price, the reserve, the minimum price you have to bid to get it, to have a chance, is rather elevated. So the reserve is 4,300. And another very, very positive indicator. It comes from the estate of the deceased famous collector and dealer Robert O. Muller. I'm also not to explain now the so-called Robert O. Muller collection, but we made a separate video about this. Please check it on our website or in YouTube. Again, reserve $4,300. The next print selected for you is by Hiroshi Yoshida. born in 1876 and he died in 1950. I have to make a confession. I cannot show it in real. I forgot it again in our office. It's the normal standard size, Oban Tate E. So you see it in the background. It's from the series Sakura Hachi Dai. In English, 8 Scenes of Cherry Blossom. That's the title of the series. And this specific print has the title in English, The Cherry Tree in Kawagoe. Well, you know, cherry blossoms, something seen often, especially on Shinhanga prints. Japanese people are mad about cherry blossoms. This print has the Jisuri seal. It's something very positive. I'm not going to explain it now, but collectors of Japanese prints, you guys, you know that. And it's signed Hiroshi Yoshida in pencil on the lower margin. It was first published in 1935. And yeah, let me tell you something about the condition description. The descriptions and the rating, colors, conditions, this is done by my Japanese wife, Yori. And she's rather strict in her ranking. I'm telling you a story now. Many years ago, we had a consignment from a dealer in Japan, and Yori had described one of his prints as mottled. He became mad, and he threatened, "I will retract my complete consignment if you don't change it." We didn't change it. It went into the auction as mottled, and it sold. And well, so much for you to get an impression, because when you read on the internet or an auction catalog in real paper, well, often you see condition mint. We rather underrate, well, then doing the opposite, then exaggerating. And you already ranked this, the condition of this print as just as good. Okay. Last but not least, the reserve, which is the minimum bid you have to place to get it. It's $800. Next print is by Kozo Hara. Well, he was specialized in birds and flowers and other animals. And this one has the title 6 Geese and Shadows. Well, Shadows, I remember, pop band from the 1960s or 1970s, but I can assure you, Kozo Hara had no connections with the Shadows because he died in 1945. Anyway, this wonderful print was first published in 1926. Publisher was Watanabe, the Tokyo publisher, mentor of the Shinhanga art movement. And also this print has the tiny Made in Japan stamp on the backside. And provenance is also the Robert O. Muller estate. It has no condition problems, and the reserve is $800, my friends. Next selected print, and the last one for this video, is by Eto Shin. Eto Shin was specialized in landscape prints and in prints of beautiful women called Beijing or Beijing A. Well, in this landscape print, it's from a series, 12 Scenic Places of Oshima Island. And this one is the subtitle Ascetic's Cave. Oshima Island is a tourist place, I think 50, 70 kilometers away from Tokyo. And this one was first published in 1937. Publisher was Watanabe. And now I want to show you a little bit, a few details. For one reason, Shinhanga actually represents an extremely high skill of the craftspeople who did this, because the artist made only the design under Shinhanga, and very highly skilled carvers and printers, they made the rest. And now let's take a little bit a look at this design. first take a look at this group of people here at the beach. They are extremely fine rendered. Take a look at this part of the design. I mean, there's no description, but one immediately recognizes, well, this is a sand dune, yeah? Take a look how the incoming waves from the sea, how they are rendered, yeah? It looks so lively. And this is a main characteristic of Shinhanga. Well, Shinhanga creates an impression. And now imagine, I mean, how? It's not a watercolor, it's not a painting, yeah? It's a design made by an artist, and then carvers, well, they carve into a rectangle wooden block, one block for each color. And then at the end, everything has to fit together, and then comes the printer and he pulls the final prints, and this is one of them. Okay, well, so much just to give you an impression how wonderful this is and how incredible that it could be made. Today, these special craftsmen, they are not available anymore. Or hardly. There are still a few, but they are dying out. A few technical things. This print has the Watanabe 6mm round seal on bottom right in black, and the print has a reserve of $600. And my friends, now I have to make a comment. We had this print, we showed it before, and nobody took it. I can't believe it. If nobody takes this print for this reserve, sorry, my folks, I don't want to be insulting, but then you must be blind. We have, in the German language, we have a saying when somebody doesn't recognize something. We say, Spiegeleier auf den Augen haben, which means something like to have eggs sunny side up on the eggs when you don't recognize anything. So, my friends, take your eggs sunny side up, take them down from your eyes and recognize what a wonderful print this is for a ridiculous reserve. The auction will end tomorrow in 1 day, roughly. So at auction end, I want to see a bid on this print, nothing else. You got me? Okay. You can bid on these Shinhanga prints in our current auction until tomorrow, January 31st, 2021 at 8 p.m. Central European Time. We are located in southern Germany, in Bavaria, in the lower part, near the Bavarian Alps, in a rural area. Beautiful. And 8 p.m., we are 6 hours ahead of you guys in New York. So US East Coast, auction ends for use in Boston or in New York at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and at 11 p.m. at you guys in Los Angeles or San Francisco. Would be pleased to see you in our auction, and I would be pleased to see you for our next video. Thanks for watching and keep safe.